Okay, this is Lake Silverwood, obviously. Right down there, you know, are the pumps and intakes, and that's the treatment plant. And all of the water that from at my house in Crestline comes from Lake Silverwood. Lake Silverwood is part of the California Water Project, and it starts up at Lake Oroville, up in north of Sacramento. And Lake Oroville is the biggest reservoir on the whole system, but you can see that road going up that canyon over there, and you can barely see the canal that comes across the desert. Well, the canal comes to there, and then it siphons underneath Las Flores Ranch right there, and then comes into Lake Silverwood. And from Lake Silverwood, before the canal forks again, and it goes to fill Pyramid Lake and stuff like that, Lake Estake. It's all part of the California State Water Project. So then it comes down to Lake Silverwood, and then it goes through a tunnel through the mountain, comes out in Devil's Canyon, and then from there it goes over to Lake Paris, and from Lake Paris it goes to Diamond Valley, and then part of the Metropolitan Water District gets part of their water from here, and they also get a lot of water from the Colorado River, which from the Colorado River, the first reservoir the water goes to from the Colorado River is Lake Matthews. It's over by Riverside and Corona in that area, and it's a closed lake. There's no recreation on it at all. But the problem with the water from the Colorado River is it's very salty, and so they use the water from Lake Matthews, and they put it into Diamond Valley, and it helps dilute the water, because the water coming from Northern California is a lot better water, you know, lower salts and stuff. So they kind of dilute the Colorado River water to make it more palatable. So
is that what they call Arrowhead water?
No. Arrowhead water comes from it actually, they get it from several sources, but the main source was on Waterman Canyon by the Arrowhead on the side of the mountain. And there's some springs, natural springs. They're hot springs, and that's where Arrowhead Springs Hotel is. And they also get water from as far up as Rim Forest, and they pipe it down, gravity feed, so they have to have pressure regulators because it would explode the pipe, because it comes down about 4,000 feet, which, you know, would gain a head pressure of about 2,000 pounds of pressure by the bottom if they didn't regulate it on the way down. So anyhow, the tunnel starts right in this area too, and that goes underneath the mountain. And when I was going to college, I was taking a surveying class from Dr. Joe Hung. He was a Chinese guy, and he had a really thick accent, you know, and he was telling us, because he did some of the surveying on this, and he was saying, you know, they started digging from both sides, and he said by the time they got the two tunnels connected, he said they were one blick thickness difference, you know, a blick. A blick, yeah. And so he's trying to say a brick, you know. And it was only the difference of the two tunnels was only about 2 or 3 inches difference. And it was amazing too. What was amazing about that guy is that's when the handheld calculators first were coming out, and I finally bought one. It cost me, and it doesn't even do near what this one will do. And this one costs like $5 or something. Mine costs $114, and Joe would, in surveying, you do a lot of calculations and stuff, and so he would race every one of us on a handheld calculator or a slide rule if you want, and he would beat us 100% of the time. And you know what he would use? An abacus.
Abacus, I remember.
And he was a world champion abacus guy.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
And he was amazing. So, and then you can take a look up there. That's that white building with the gold top. That's Mozumdar Temple. And that was built by Prince Mozumdar, who was from India. And he was a Christian guy, and he started becoming, he started teaching on radio and stuff like that, and had quite a few followers, and he started to build that place. And it's pretty neat. They have, I forget what they call it, the Temple of Christ or something, where they have these huge rock pillars. Huh?
Pillars of Christ.
Pillars of Christ, yeah. And these huge rock pillars there, and it's really neat to go see it. And then the temple itself, not all that big, but we got to go inside of it, and it looks better from the outside than it is from the inside. And they're trying to, the people that own it now, from Mozumdar, Prince Mozumdar, after he died, then the Boy Scouts took it over. And then the Boy Scouts sold out to Young Sun Moon or whatever, the Moonies, you know?
Moonies, yeah.
And that's who owns it still today, is the Moonies. And we don't do much with it, but they're in the process of trying to fix it up and stuff, and they're looking for help and donations, and I might bring a tractor over there one of these days and help them on some tractor work. Okay, and then well, yeah, some of the plants right here. This right in front of me is California Buckwheat. It's Eriogonum fasciculatum, and you can see all right now, like all these flowers are kind of cream color, and the flowers on there are kind of a rust color, and they turn from cream to rust after they get pollinated by the bees. And you can just see there was a bee on this one just right now. And so anyhow, it's got an edible seed inside of that. Once it turns like a rust color brown, you can take that and rub it in your hands and blow the chaff away, and there's some seed, and that's an edible seed. It's not the buckwheat that you would buy at the store, but it is edible. This one here, this is called mountain mahogany. There's two different species that grow in the mountains up here. This one grows about 6,000 feet and lower, and then this is Cercocarpus petioloides, and that one grows. I don't know if you know what birch looks like, but that kind of looks like a birch leaf. That's why it's called betuloides. Betula is the genus for birch, and oides is leaf. So, and so this not really much use for it. The wood is extremely hard. The one that grows up by Big Bear and stuff is Cercocarpus ledifolius, and that gets really big. The trunks can get about this big in diameter, and it's still a bush, but the wood is really, really hard, and the Indians would use them for digging sticks and clubs and stuff like that. It makes really good firewood. And this one is this is called chamise. The greasewood is another common name. But if you look at these, if you look at the foliage on it, this is Adenostomus fasciculatum, where this is Eriogonum fasciculatum. So they both have the same species name of fasciculatum, and what fasciculatum means is a fascicle, and this is a fascicle of leaves. So the leaves are born in little fascicles on both of them. If you look on here too, it's a fascicle of leaves. So, okay, chamise is a common plant in the lower chaparral. The kind of the surface of Lake Silverwood is about 3,247 feet, I think, and so we're probably, I don't know, 600-700 feet higher than that right now. This will start to die out at about 4,500 feet roughly, And so it's a lower chaparral plant, but it's one that firefighters do not know very well, because this is one just like manzanita. If it gets superheated, it can kind of explode with fire, you know. And it's also one of the first plants to come back after a fire, because it's what they call a stump sprouter. So the top can be burned off all the way to the ground, and the roots are still alive, so it'll start to sprout from the roots again, which is really good for erosion control and stuff. The surface erosion happens right after a fire, but the roots of this and like Yerba Santa and a few other plants that are stump sprouters will help hold the soil down deep, so we don't get a severe erosion. Well, over there's Mount Baldy. See the it is the highest mountain there, but it kind of looks bald on top, you know. And what's it? Mount San Antonio? What is it? Mount San Antonio. Yeah, it's also called Mount San Antonio. Caleb's been to the top of that several times.
Last weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a, is that ridge ridge on the right that people fall down?
Devil's Back. So Devil's Hole, Devil's Backbone is actually kind of facing towards us from the summit. And they can fall down either side, but a lot of times they can just fall down the north side.
Okay. Well, anyhow, and then the one last thing I'll talk about is kind of aspect, okay? And, oh wow, there's a red-tailed hawk.
He's hunting.
I think, or maybe it's a vulture. I don't know. Okay, well anyhow, we're on the north-facing slope of the mountains, and you can see at the top of the mountains the pine trees and stuff, the larger trees are much thicker at the top, and as it comes down on the north face, they get fewer and fewer, and by the time they get a south-facing slope like it's over here, you don't see any trees except for possibly in the canyon. And that's called aspect. And what happens is, because the San Bernardino Mountains and the San Gabriels and stuff, they run one of the few mountain ranges that run east to west. So that means the sun rises in the east, sets in the west. So on the south-facing slope, because the sun goes around the equator, it bakes this. The sun hits it full bore all day long. But on the north slope, the sun's rays come down like this, and so they don't hit it, you know, as directly as they would here. So it doesn't bake the water out as there's more moisture available. And so basically, there's more moisture available for the trees there, and there's not as much right here. And you can see a couple little valleys over there, a little bit of a north-facing slope, and you'll see that the foliage is denser there and taller. And that's because there's just more moisture available.
That's interesting.
Couldn't they just put a bunch of easy ups on that side? And
Yeah, well, that was before easy ups, though.
Oh. See, I didn't know that.
And they didn't have a volunteer like you to go put them up.
I didn't know that either.
Oh.
So we could do that now.
Yeah.
That'd be cheaper to put a
I'll meet you there tomorrow morning. Okay?